Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the PNY PRO Podcast. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Jerome, and we're joined with a familiar face today, but this time he's on the other side of the episode, Derek Ellis. Hello, Derek.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back on. And it's on this side, as you said, so it's a little different, but excited to talk about some product with y'all.
Yeah. I know last time in the previous episodes, you were, of course, more of a co-host, and now it's cool because, over your transition, you've been a little bit more integrated into the product side of things. What's that like?
Yeah, no, it's good. So it's different. Because again, we've always been content, we're all part of the content team, but now getting, I guess, more involved into the product side and pretty much launching a product from inception to maintaining to like eventually something going to EOL and kind of being involved in that whole process and learning. It's new and it's exciting, and again, get a little more insights of what's in the pipeline, what's coming up, and get it ready for product launches. And again, just now that you kind of had that product side of things, what's in the pipeline, we can start prepping and getting ready for social and content production, all that good stuff too. But it's great. It's fun. It's more of that tech geek out on specs and everything with the team, which I enjoy as well. So it's been good.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up the launches, and I think that a really good kind of thing to bring up that shows your experience with the product side and kind of tying that together with the content side was GTC, where we launched a whole new lineup of GPUs with the NVIDIA RTX PRO Blackwell family, which you were actually there for live at the event, learning about the products, seeing the products live in your hands. So can you just tell us a little bit about what it's been like from that day to today where we are now?
Yeah, so going back to GTC, again, it was cool to see the product, everything come to life in real time and with the embargoes lifted, and we were able to get the Blackwell GPUs in the actual booth and showcase them, which was huge for us. I think we were like one of the few booths that had them, and everybody kept on visiting. And is that really it? Is that really it? And seeing the excitement around a product launch is cool. And then really just growing the product family. So at that time, it was 4 desktop GPUs. It was the NVIDIA RTX PRO 6000 Workstation Edition. We had the 6000 Max Q. We had the 4500 and the 4000. And now, recently at SIGGRAPH, NVIDIA actually completed the full stack of Blackwell solutions, introduced a new small form factor solution. So we have the NVIDIA RTX PRO 4000 Blackwell SFF edition, along with the new NVIDIA RTX PRO 2000. So these are small form factor solutions. And again, just being on that product side, we've always done production. We know what's kind of upcoming, but to now see more of the spec heavy portions of like tech specs and kind of be able to gauge like gen over gen performance gains in certain tasks and apps is definitely a cool part of the whole product journey. So I think just the coming off from GTC, leading up to SIGGRAPH until now, being able to fully launch the Blackwell product line, it's been exciting.
Yeah, you mentioned how these 2 launches are also closing out the Blackwell stack. And in addition, they're also the first iterations of Blackwell in small form factor. For those that maybe don't know the difference of what small form factor exactly is, can you just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, the main thing is like a lot of people are accustomed to like a full size GPU. So it's full length, dual slot, and full height, like a traditional blower style GPU. When you start to get into the small form factors, it's like half length, and pretty much it's still a dual slot, but you're pretty much cutting the length of a GPU in half. And the good thing about Blackwell now being part of the small form factor family is that we're still getting like nearly like a full size GPU performance in a compact size. So with the 4000 SFF Blackwell edition, just starting with that, there was a big jump in CUDA cores, 8,960 CUDA cores versus 6144. But then now you're getting the all new 5th gen tensor cores and 4th generation RT cores that were found on the full size cards, now available in the small form factor solution GPUs. So there's no compromise for performance when you're going down to small form factor solution, but it's really dependent on the use case of who needs that GPU. Not everybody wants a full size desktop on-prem or at their desk. So small form factor solutions definitely help in that area. And again, there's no compromise on performance, which is great. So anyone that is doing any type of video editing, or if they're in healthcare, you have MRI machines, and just people in doing general work, you're limited space usually in offices. Like, just think about headquarters. We work in cubes, and I know most can use laptops, but if we want to do a desktop, we all wouldn't want this massive desktop sitting on our space, because it's going to take up space, to where now you can do it in a smaller footprint and still get really good performance for the task that we're doing. So, I think, again, that's the biggest takeaway, is that we're currently using Ada generation. A lot of people are excited about Blackwell and the full size cards. Like, hey, when's the small form factor solutions coming out? And it's like, we can't say anything yet, but it's finally here, and you're able to take advantage of the all new Blackwell architecture on these two new solutions.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, because I know that we spoke in the past with either Stacy or Sama from NVIDIA, and we spoke about small form factor systems, really touching on NVIDIA IGX Orin. And although, again, that was referencing the Ada generation, now we're kind of touching on the small form factors for Blackwell. And I really loved one of their use case examples, in where they were talking about how sometimes you can use this as maybe a smaller workstation for your own business or your own company, whether it's a small family-owned business and you need to do again, mainly focusing on the IGX side of things, when you're talking about security and being right at the edge of AI. But something that I want to kind of get into with these smaller form factors are, how are the use cases? What I basically want to say, how can you use these GPUs in these other smaller use cases? Is that a smaller business? How do you foresee these GPUs being used?
So, I mean, really, I would say it's multi-vertical use. Of course, when you mentioned, or medical, you have CAT scans and different medical equipment that are very limited to space, that we can't fit a full-size GPU in. And also, that's where our embedded solutions come into play as well, for something that's extremely small form factor. But even for someone just say in media entertainment, before, the issue was with small form factor solutions, you didn't have the GPU memory capabilities to really render a large file or render it out fast enough and get a photorealistic rendering. And what I mean by that is, mainly your rendering time, just say one image may take 5 minutes, to where now Blackwell, you're going to see maybe that cut in half. So that's going to reduce the overall rendering time. But again, not everybody, kind of go back to what I was saying earlier, is not everyone wants this full size, or really needs the full size performance of a full size GPU. So that's where these solutions come into play. And kind of go back to media entertainment as an example, is you don't have to have the latest and greatest top of the line GPU in order to get stuff done. The new RTX PRO 4000 Blackwell SFF edition, that has jumped up to 24 gigs of memory versus the current 6000 Ada, which is only 20 gigs. So you do get a memory jump there. But also, again, going back to the CUDA cores, that's going to play a big part too. You see a significant jump there. But the biggest thing for media entertainment is now they do offer 422 support, which is a specific codec that wasn't available before, which is now available on the 4000 Blackwell solution. And again, I think the overall goal from NVIDIA with these GPUs is, again, really getting that full size performance in a compact solution. And for those that are limited to office space, these solutions are going to help with that.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to note that people that want the full size performance, but maybe have had size constraints before, now they have an option. Now they can enter the space of advanced computing. They can explore more AI workflows. I know even in headquarters here, we've had so many coworkers that are building their own AI agents or trying to figure something out to help expedite our workflows and accelerate what we're doing here at PNY. So I feel like a lot more professionals are going to enter the space of advanced computing or implement it into their current workloads, and it's going to take them light years ahead. But I'm just curious what you guys think is going to happen with more professionals getting the power of Blackwell and seeing how it affects their workflows.
Yeah, because I think that that's kind of where that conversation of lowering the barrier to entry really starts, especially for these smaller form factor systems, in where, again, when you have these different constraints, whether it's size, space, power, you're limited on power draw, that's where these GPUs would really shine.
Yeah.
And that's where you can see, you know, maybe an exponential rise of what you could do before in the past. You can do it so much easier with less of a team, with less restrictions, now that you have these powerful GPUs.
Yeah, and I want to hit on that note too, because the power draw is huge. So these solutions both still operate on 70 watts. So the ADA solution for both the 4000 SFF and the 2000 were 70 watts. Even the Blackwell GPUs, the replacements, are still at 70 watts. But again, you're getting the benefits of the Blackwell architecture and the PCIe Gen 5 versus Gen 4. So again, you're really getting better performance at a lower wattage. Now, of course, if someone really needs a 6000 workstation edition, which that has 96 gigs of memory, not everybody really needs that particular GPU. Again, that all comes down to the user's workflow and what they're doing. But again, that's a 600 watt card. So in these office spaces, like again, thinking of power, if you have a huge, like a whole team using 600 watts versus someone or a team of using 70 watts per system, I mean, that in itself, you're going to have a savings just in energy in itself. It doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, that's a significant difference in power draw. And again, there's no compromise on performance with the small form factor solutions. So that's a really good thing to see, because usually if you're putting more power, you're pulling more performance out of a GPU, usually you see an uprise in the power draw, which in this case we didn't. And also, it doesn't require an actual power cable coming from the for the PSU. These cards are powered directly by the PCI Express slot, so there's no additional power needed. So again, it's crazy that someone can have this much power. I only see it even in like an entry level, because the 4000 I would still say is in that high performance ranking, and then your like entry level mid performer would be the 2000 solution. So yeah, again, just kind of reiterating, you're still getting great performance in these two solutions in a small form factor solution. Another thing I want to add to that is with PNY, with these solutions, we give you everything you need to deploy these in the box, which you don't see everywhere. And that's a huge thing. So what I mean by that is we ship these GPUs with an ATX bracket attached. And if your deployment requires a low profile bracket, that's going to be in the box. They also have 4 mini DP ports on these GPUs. So we actually include 4 of the NVIDIA certified latching cables for these. So that's another important thing to note, because these cables are certified and verified by NVIDIA to work with their GPUs. They're not third party, so you're not going to compromise performance or anything like that with the cables as well. So that's another thing I want to add there, because it's important. We've seen so many customers or customer stories to where it's like, we got this and we couldn't deploy it because it was missing this in the box and that. And that's one thing, and that's one area that PNY really shines, is that we give you everything you need to deploy in the box, which is a huge factor.
Yeah. And I mean, with these, they're not entry level, but they're definitely able to be applied more in more spaces now, and PNY is giving professionals everything they need. It's a one-stop shop almost. You buy it and you're ready to go. So I wonder if we're going to see new markets and new areas emerge, or see customer bases go up in certain areas, certain verticals. I know that higher education has been a big one lately. I wonder if more students will feel empowered and they feel more supported to try and take on advanced computing and AI workflows. So I think it's just really interesting to see how this is going to affect the greater industry and the greater market.
Yeah. And even on that same note, I know that the focus of this conversation is more on the small form factor systems, but entailing that, reducing the power and the size of what is capable with these specific products, tying into DGX Spark. I know that's a conversation as a whole that I know we're going to most likely have coming up soon in another episode, but I know that's something into where, again, when it comes to higher education, or just getting these products in other people's hands who may not have ease of use to be able to use these things before in the past, it's something that I feel like can really open up doors moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jerome, I mean, that's true. Spark in itself is a whole nother product and category. And we actually do have a virtual event coming up on October 23rd with NVIDIA. That's going to be all about Spark. So I'm excited and looking forward to that virtual event. But I do want to hit back on real quick both solutions. So I know we talked about the 4000 a lot and mentioned the 2000. The good thing, again, I want to really call out is that the transition for any customer that has an RTX 4000 SFF 8th generation or an RTX 2000 8th generation, making that transition from Ada to Blackwell is the same footprint. Both GPUs do offer the latest 5th gen Tensor cores and 4th generation RT cores. One thing I just want to hit on with the RTX Pro 2000 Blackwell edition is that it does have the same memory, so that it does have 16 gigs as the current Ada, but the biggest difference is going to be there. You're coming from GDDR6 to GDDR7, but then also there is a jump in CUDA from 2,816 CUDA cores on the Ada 2000 compared to 4,352. And again, you're getting all of the benefits of Blackwell on the RTX Pro 2000 Blackwell solution. So that's another thing. And you also do get the 422 support on RTX Pro 2000 Blackwell GPU. And it's, again, like I kind of just mentioned, the power, they're both 70-watt solutions. So that I think that's another thing that I really want to hit here. And I think NVIDIA really thought of is like, can we make the same, can the GPU be the same power draw plus the same form factor, but let's give it more performance? And I'm sure the engineers are kind of like, how do we do this? And they did it. So any customers that hear this or think about making the upgrade path from even an Ampere or even just Ada generation, that's one thing to consider. Your form factor and everything else is going to be identical, which is incredible and cool to see that NVIDIA pulled that off.
Yeah, that's all really great information, and it's really great to know that there's no compromise when it comes to the Blackwell solutions. Well, Derek, since you're on the opposite side today of the podcast, you want to close us out?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like old times. And yeah, thank you for having me on. And it's great covering these solutions. And I guess lastly, if anybody has any questions and want to learn more about these solutions, first and foremost, go to pny.com/professional, or you can email us directly at gopny@pny.com. And if you're not already, follow us on social media. Make sure you're following PNY Pro. And if you're a visual person like myself and want to watch the video, you can subscribe to our PNY Pro YouTube channel. Yeah, so thanks again for having me on, and maybe I'll be on in a future episode.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek.